President Biden is heading to California for the 2023 APEC conference. Leaders from some of the world's largest economies will be gathered in San Francisco to discuss trade and economic investment in countries across the Pacific. While out west, President Biden will meet with China's President Xi Jinping for a highly anticipated summit. The two are expected to discuss strengthening communications between the two countries, the world's largest economies, managing competition, and the war in the Middle East. It will be the second time they have met in person since President Biden took office. The president discussed what he defines as a success for tomorrow's summit.
To get back on a normal course of corresponding, being able to pick up the phone and talk to one another if there's a crisis, being able to make sure our military still have contact with one another. We can't take, as I told you, we're not trying to decouple from China. But what we're trying to do is change the relationship for the better.
CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now from San Francisco. Weijia, what's the most pressing matter on the table for the Biden-Xi summit?
Lily, it's great to see you. As the president just said, there is reestablishing communication, because what he didn't mention is that there was a time when the two militaries could not get in touch with each other, or I should say when the U.S. could not get an answer from China when the now infamous spy balloon incident happened, and the U.S. shot it down, and there were a series of attempts for the U.S. to communicate with China about that, and they were not able to. And so that raised a lot of red flags and alarms, and the two leaders will be speaking for the first time since that incident. So even though the president didn't explicitly mention the spy balloon, that is what is driving the conversation about the need to engage and be able to pick up the phone and talk to each other during times like that. But as you mentioned, there are a host of other things that these two leaders will discuss as well. Of course, the president always issuing warnings about China's potential ambitions to invade Taiwan, and as well as the global economy and how the Chinese economy plays a role in that. And so this is a very highly anticipated meeting, and some officials at the White House say the meeting itself is the deliverable, deliverable meaning, what are they going to accomplish from this? And, this face-to-face time, Lilia, is an accomplishment in and of itself. But we are also expecting some kind of announcements between these two leaders when it comes to curbing fentanyl, as an example, and reestablishing those communications.
Of course, Weijia, as you said, it's such an important time globally for diplomacy, for dialogue, for warming of relations among global leaders. What is Biden doing to improve that relationship with China?
Well, this president really feels like there's nothing like FaceTime, and that you can accomplish so much despite how many calls you might have over the phone, because they have talked via video conference more than twice, but this will be their second in-person meeting since Mr. Biden became president. They have a long history. He spoke with Xi many times when he served in the Senate, on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And, the president has always said that one thing he brings to the table that others do not is this foreign policy experience and the ability to engage in a really intensely diplomatic way. And so the president has been saying, especially in recent weeks, Lilia, that the conflicts that we're seeing abroad are not just isolated, that they all tie to each other. And that, as an example, China is very closely watching the war in Ukraine as it, considers its own ambitions, and even the war in the Middle East, because there are concerns that China is not being tough enough on Iran and even embracing Iran. So that is why this face-to-face diplomacy, Lilia, is so important to try to reestablish reestablish normalcy and try to temper the environment, especially when it comes to the Indo-Pacific, which the president is really investing a lot of time in. So it's not just China, but all the nations here. That's why he is staying for so long, which for the president is a long time to arrive here to San Francisco on Tuesday and then not leave until Friday. That sends a message, at least the administration is hoping to send a message that, hey, even though there are these conflicts that the president is juggling, he is still focused on this part of the world when it comes to economic development.
No doubt, huge commitment. Weijia Jiang, thank you.